everyone, welcome to Aaron Explains, the show where my friend Aaron explains something to me, and we're back talking about PLUR1BUS.
We can't stop talking
No,
about
we
PLUR1BUS.
can't. We're obsessed. Episode 6
Yes.
just aired, and I think we should start the conversation with our friend in Paraguay. Little inside information. We had a bit of a debate about whether to include our discussion of Paraguay Guy in our previous video. I wanted to cut it out because I felt like we were theorizing out on a limb. You insisted we include it.
And you now think that I was theorizing out on a limb.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was justified in wanting to cut that stuff off. Essentially, you had made the argument that he is different than Carol. She's trying to change things and take them back the way they were,
Yes.
and he was just focused on survival. But I think based on what we just saw, that he is just as interested in finding other people to change the situation, to stop the hive mind. He seems just as angry and alone and bitter as she does.
I mean, you're basically asking me to explain myself.
Yes.
Which, yeah, hence the name of the show. I think that my perspective on them being sort of foils for each other, I don't necessarily think that I need to throw that in the garbage.
Okay.
I do think that when you have characters that are acting as foils for each other, they do have similarities. I hope that the way that the story is being told, that it will come to pass that they won't be exactly the same person, that in fact that they will have separate motivations that are kind of contextually based. I think that it is demonstrating Carol as this, not only does she write sort of hero-focused genre fiction, romantasy, and so she's kind of trying to have this, as I said before, like have this kind of function as this story arc where she understands the ending, and that's what she's moving towards, and she's driven by
she can somehow rewrite
this. Exactly, which kind of plays into the idea of this being about kind of the fundamental American story of the shining city on a hill, and the American individualism and colonialism, and being this white lady who has all the answers, and people just aren't believing her, like some kind of Cassandra figure.
Right.
And I do feel that because of the fact that the fellow in Paraguay has kind of cut himself off.
Right.
Carol had to be cut off from the hive mind, whereas the opposite is happening in Paraguay. He is cutting himself off. He's actually covered the windows.
Right. But how much of that is just circumstances of he was in a place where he could isolate himself, where he had chain link fences and concrete, and she was just in a neighborhood open. She couldn't close herself off from all of these neighbors and people in the city she was living in.
I feel that, sure, perhaps, but again, we're being presented with these individuals who are functioning within specific contexts that I think will shape their reaction. And, you might say this will play out over the next, we are at episode 6. We know there's 9 episodes in this particular season, and that there will be a second season.
Yep.
So if we're thinking about these characters, and in the same way that this particular episode took the, Soylent Green, its people, and fulfilled that, yeah, it does fit the expectation. It is people, but then undermine that as any kind of reveal by simply saying, so what?
Yes, we were concerned at the end of last episode that this, I think I said it between us when we were talking about it afterwards, was this show becoming a mystery box show? Yeah. The way it instantly revealed that information and negated
hilariously
it
so with John Cena.
Wonderful John Cena cameo. Yeah. It's not a mystery box show. This is not a show that's going to drag these things out. They keep telling us, they're completely honest, and they're telling us,
exactly,
we're not a threat, we're not after you, we can't hurt you now. Like, all of that stuff's been taken off. And her motivations to change things back because her individuality is under threat has been removed.
Yes, and I think that that's how it becomes, as you have said to me, as being like, this is, like a Vince Gilligan character-driven show. And I know we don't want to directly compare it to Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad, but those are character-driven shows. And I feel that, it's this sort of the post-Sopranos era of prestige TV. Immediately when that era began, you had these two programs, The Wire and Breaking Bad. And I always think of these as being, there's this like literary theorist, Mikhail Bakhtin, who talked about Leo Tolstoy and Dostoevsky as being the fox and the hedgehog. And the fox knows a little bit about a lot of things, and the hedgehog knows a lot about one thing. Tolstoy is the fox, Dostoevsky is the hedgehog, The Wire is the fox, Breaking Bad is the hedgehog. Okay. And I think that kind of mode of storytelling, this idea of this is going to be focusing a lot about one thing, is kind of what the show is moving towards. Yeah. We are dealing with this concept of the individual versus the hive mind. Right. And what are the advantages of individualism versus the advantages of a collective, right, and the disadvantages of both as well.
Okay, well, all right. I thought we were going to wildly disagree, but I actually would completely agree with that. Yeah. That take of it. I do think, Vince Gilligan is very much a character-focused kind of writer. I don't think he'd have any interest in being a mystery box showrunner.
No.
Never seen anything from any interview with him where that's up his alley. I do think it's a show that is becoming more and more clearly about, individuality and what it means in the face of the loss of individuality. What are the pros? What are the cons?
And I think that there are these, the idea of this kind of stereotypical American individualism, especially the whiteness of the show, the fact that it is centered around this blonde, blue-eyed, middle-aged white lady, right, the Karen figure, very Karen-like figure, and the wonderful scene in this episode whereby Monsieur Diabaté comments on the car she is driving and the choice of a police car.
I think that's pretty. She's a control freak.
Yes.
Who's desperate to, have everything under her thumb exactly the way she wants it.
And she's the authority.
Yeah.
Not only is she the author, but she's also the authority.
Right.
And then she gets into the police car to drive to Las Vegas.
Right.
To reveal all that she knows and how she is going to solve this problem.
Yeah.
She's done the detective work. She goes in and I loved actually the way that the reveal of the people was shot. The fact that, we move from the wide shot of her going into the factory,
right,
and then we shift to her point of view through the camera.
Yeah.
And looking around at this whole place and then revealing that it is, shrink-wrapped bits of people's bodies.
Yes.
I thought that was great because it is kind of, she's feeling like she's the detective, that she is solving the mystery.
She keeps making these incredible breakthroughs, but then when she goes to deliver the information and they're like, we know, because we just asked them and they told us.
What you are about to witness...
Is this about them eating people?
What?
It is troubling.
Exactly.
What do you drink in the milk? And it's
that's what it is.
And sure, it's disturbing.
As I said, it is troubling.
And this idea that she has this totalizing view of the hive mind, I also think kind of relates to that sort of early anthropological imperative of entering into another culture, engaging in what anthropologists call participant observation, and learning about the culture of the other, and then coming to these conclusions. Well, this culture is like this, like this, like this, and like this. Now, in 2025, that kind of view of anthropology has obviously been undermined significantly as being a colonial project. Right. But the way she's writing
that
down is what she is trying to do.
And she's breaking them down.
That is what she's trying to do. Yes, like these sort of axioms of truth, and she feels like she can capture who they are and their culture. And if we think of this back to, like old sort of alien movies, etc., the idea that the human beings are going to be able to figure out the extraterrestrial, and it's kind of like, it's always that we feel that we're going to be able to figure them out.
Yes.
It's instead of looking on the other side and being like, you know what, maybe they've got more knowledge than we do.
Right.
But because all of these kinds of stories are told from that individual, predominantly white perspective, that it's this authority knowledge presentation of that knowledge, that is what Carol is driven by, and that's why I liked how in this episode that this was undermined.
Right.
And I don't know whether it's putting too fine of a point on it, but to do it in Las Vegas, where it's all about luck, it's kind of a lovely symbolic sort of.
I hadn't thought of that.
It has lovely symbolic resonance. Right. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
The author, I know you've put a lot of significance into the author bit, and something that kind of hit me this week in watching was how many shows or movies are about writers and how much that is just the navel-gazing instinct of a writer to want to write about themselves.
Exactly.
And was there any more significance to her being a writer than the simple fact, and a genre writer, than the fact that Vince Gilligan is a writer and predominantly was a genre writer that was as big with X-Files and stuff? How much of it was more meaningful than that? But your authority stuff here maybe...
Yeah, I mean, I think that that the fact that Vince Gilligan did X-Files, and X-Files was kind of a show that tried to sort of challenge that line between sci-fi and paranormal. That's almost, this kind of sci-fi and fantasy. It tried to kind of play around with these different...
Mixed with a procedural.
Right. It's trying to play with all of these different sorts of genre directives and rules, and which is why it was so interesting and so successful. And I think that
this is a giant ripoff of Kolchak, The Night Stalker.
Okay, I'll have to watch that. Anyhow,
I was going to say that.
Yes. So, but I think that this is kind of a return to playing around with that. That PLUR1BUS is sort of a return to his approach to the X-Files and these kind of standalone episodes of the X-Files that he did. This is sort of that writ large.
Okay.
But I do also feel that we are at, and again, this goes back to AI, the crisis of authorship, the crisis of authority, this constantly undermining authority, fake news, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. The fact that, Substack is this place where there's literally like thousands of people writing about writing.
Right.
You go on YouTube and there's literally thousands of people making YouTube videos about YouTube videos.
How to make YouTube videos.
In this kind of metafictional sort of thing.
A lot of navel gazing.
Yes, exactly. But I think that this is kind of playing around with it.
Okay.
Because the person who is the one who's engaging in the navel gazing, it is in fact preventing them from having any understanding of the outside and themselves.
Right.
Like, I don't think that Carol is very self-aware.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And then, that maybe that's the last point I kind of wanted to talk about, was her reaction to finding out that the other individuals have been meeting on a regular basis and don't want her included. That seemed to really upset her. Like, she clearly wants, on some level, like so many misanthropic loners, and I'm speaking purely from theory here, I know nothing about what this is like, but you don't want to have anything to do with other people, and you want to just stay at home and be left alone, but you also on some level want to be included. You want to be asked to the party that you're then going to not show up to.
Except for the fact that she had a party and she didn't invite anybody that didn't speak English.
Correct.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not...
And I like the fact that she was reminded of that, because that kind of plays into the whole anthropology type of situation.
Right, but I'm just seeing her as a little bit more, I guess, emotionally complicated. And I wonder, what brought that to my mind was the guy in Paraguay at the very end when he sees his mother and dismisses her as, you're not my mother, because she was a bitch.
Yes.
And has that same seeming alone
And
hurt,
also relationship
damaged,
yes.
maybe emotionally immature.
Well, we know Carol's parents sent her to a conversion camp.
Correct.
So they both have.
And might explain why the only person she's upset about losing in this whole thing was Helen. She doesn't care neighbors, friends. She doesn't seem to have any other human connections. So it's more than just an individual. It's like individuals who have self-isolated themselves for whatever reason, now desperately trying to return the world back to the state that they were not happy in to begin with.
Yes. That's a good reading, too.
Okay.
I like that.
All right.
All right.
So I thought we were going to have a big fight.
No. No.
Maybe next week. Here's
Yes.
hoping.
Yes.
All right.
All right. That explains
That
it.
kind of explains it. Another
Sort of.
Yeah. Out on a limb. Just waiting for it to snap under our weight.
Yeah.
All right. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave lots of comments. Let us know what you think. Check us out next week. Bye.